Hey, yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Jarvis here, and you're with me on my IG, my FB, and guess what? It's even made it to YouTube, so why be? And this is, yes, Jarvis TV. Hey, listen, today I am going to do a follow-up on a topic that I hit last week on my IG and my FB, and it was not owning other people's apologies. Now, part of this follow-up, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to read some of the comments that people sent me. I will say this, hey, I understand that when I put something out here in social media, that it is in the court of public opinion, and you are more than welcome to respond and say whatever you got to say. So with that being said, that's got to tell you that some people weren't really comfortable with it. But I will tell you this, the people who weren't comfortable, the people who were offended, the people who felt some kind of way about it, it was for you. I didn't have any one person in particular in mind when I went ahead and posted. It was just on my heart, and I wanted to post it because I dealt with a lot of my clients who were going through that, apologizing for somebody else's apology, like owning somebody else's I'm sorry, and you don't have to do that. And if you're that leader who watched this and you are offended by it, check yourself. Am I going to apologize? No, I just talked about not owning somebody else's apology. But what I am going to do is I'm going to say this, hey, there's balance to everything. So one thing that I want to fix from the last one that I did, I made a statement and I said that the number one reason why people will leave an organization is because of the leader. And I did not mean to focus it on one leader in particular. I wanted to go ahead and be fair and say it's the leadership. See, there's a reason why you have leadership, because if you think about a ship, it's a boat that carries a lot of people or a lot of goods. So in a leadership, most organizations are set up where they have a leadership hierarchy, where you have the singular number one leader, and you have another group of leaders underneath them. Some go as far as having another group of leaders under them, and there's people that report to those leaders. So it's those people that are in the leadership core, that are in the leadership tier of an organization, that cause people to be hurt and to leave organizations. And so if this applied to you, you would know because you watched it and you were offended, or you got halfway through and you cut it off. Either way, just know this. I love you, and I'm absolutely praying for you, and I absolutely mean every word that I said, and I know that I'm not perfect, and I am not the authority, which takes me to my first person who wrote something in. Actually, it's not the first person, it's just the one that stood out the most. So this one is from somebody, I will not say any names, but here's what they say. They say, "Good afternoon, sir. Who made you the authority on apologies? As a leader myself, I don't feel like it's necessary for me to have to apologize to people who report to me. Most of the time, it's just them being in their feelings. How they feel is not my responsibility. As a pastor, my responsibility is to feed them the word and shepherd them with love. I have way too much going on to have to stop and worry about them being offended or hurt by how I love and lead them. Offense is a choice. If I hurt them, it's not intentional. There's not a lot to, or there's just a lot to get done. If I focus on them and their feelings and less on the task at hand, things won't get done properly." So in this, there's a few things that stand out. First thing that stood out is that this person announced that they are a pastor. So being a pastor, one of the number one things that you do as a pastor is you shepherd the flock. And in shepherding the flock, the thing that comes to mind is when Jesus was walking with Peter, his most angry of his disciples, and he said, "Peter, do you love me?" And Peter said, "Yes, I love you." And he said, "Feed my sheep." "Peter, do you love me?" He asked him 3 times. And a part of pastoring and shepherding is to love those who you care for. Now, if you think about a shepherd in a literal term, a shepherd cares for a lot of sheep. And there's scriptures in the Bible where Jesus even says that he'll leave the 99 to go and chase the one. That shows me that there is an intentional focus on how that sheep feels. There's an intentional focus on how that sheep was affected. There's an intentional focus on what was said and what was done to that sheep to cause that sheep to go away, where he had to go get that one and bring that one back. Now, take it or leave it. I'm not saying that I am the, the authority. I'm not the authority. I am just somebody who is sharing my opinion. So in the beginning, you said, who gave me the authority? Who made me the authority on apologies? No one made me the authority on apologies. Again, I'm just sharing my opinion. In here, there's a few other things that stand out. Like right here, as a leader, you don't feel like it's necessary for you to apologize to the people who report to you. I'd strongly disagree with that. As leaders, we should always sit back and reevaluate why something happened the way that it happened, And it's not so much what we're saying, it's how we're saying what we say as leaders. Sometimes you can say things, they can come across so harsh and so brash that in your mind, you're like, yo, man, this was great. I just gave them some good stuff. And they're walking away like, oh my God, what just happened? You know, I've been around leaders who have had people who report to them who operate under a lot of anxiety, high anxiety. I don't think that any leader should have anyone operating under them under high anxiety, and that anxiety being brought on by the leader themselves. That tells me that there's something that you're doing that's causing people to be afraid of you. And I would much rather people respect me than to fear me. See, there's a thing called compassionate leadership. And in compassionate leadership, you access this thing called emotional intelligence. And what emotional intelligence is it's your ability to see where the state of the people are, no matter who it is, and bring yourself to their level so that they can understand what the task is that needs to get done. The last and the biggest thing in here that stood out to me that concerns me is that this person said that they have way too much to get done. And if they focus more on the people and less on the tasks of the things that need to get done, things won't get done properly. Well, that tells me that you haven't properly delegated things out to people, or you don't trust people to get the job done. If it all had to rely on you, then you're already failing. So I encourage you, turn that stuff over to other people. Hey, I love you just the same. Like I said, if you were offended by it, then it was for you. And you're right, offense is a choice. Because when I read this, I could have been very offended, and I chose not to be offended. Just know that in every choice, you had a part to play in the choice that person made, whether they were offended or hurt or not. It's true. Charge it to your head and not your heart. But I would challenge you as this individual to really check your heart. Stop operating out of entitlement and start operating out of love. There's two huge differences right there, and it's up to you to figure it out. The next thing that I have, it says, wow, this is so on point. I serve with a leader who is 100% this, and I believe that he is a diminisher and doesn't realize it. Can you talk more about multipliers and diminishers? Also, it feels like he's always, or it feels like he thinks he's always right. Can you speak to that as well? Thank you again. This helped me so much. We certainly will cover that, and I'm going to do it very shortly here. And the last comment that I brought in, this is good stuff, Jay. Can you talk about how this relates to family as well? Me and my brother are dealing with apologies and pointing fingers, and he acts entitled. He acts so entitled. Thanks again, brother. So we will cover those. So like I said, I talked about apologies last week, and a part of those apologies, I mentioned diminishers and multipliers. Now, I will say this. If you are that individual where you feel like you are always right, like everything that you say is right, like nothing that anyone else says is it holds weight to what you're saying, then you're already losing. You're wrong. You're so wrong. And I would encourage you to really check your heart. I find that a lot of times leaders like this, they listen to rebuttal, not to receive, meaning that they already have a checklist of things that, hey, these are all of my points right here. This is all of what I had to say. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing. And when they go into these conversations with people who may be offended or may be hurt or just maybe looking for clarity, they already have all of these things lined up and set up on what they're going to say if this person says that. I want to encourage you to stop doing that. If you can sit to listen as opposed to sitting to sit and listen to receive as opposed to sitting and listening to rebuttal, you'll easily place yourself in the other person's shoes. You'll see where maybe you may have miscommunicated something. Maybe what you saw up here on the canvas of your imagination didn't translate well from your lips to their ears. I ask a lot of questions when I'm working with a team of people, and I just want to make sure that what I see up here is what I'm saying, and now they see it as well. Sometimes it just doesn't happen. None of us are perfect. None of us are going to get it 100% right all the time, but it's very important that we don't take ourselves to a place of being in a posture and in a position where everything that we say is right. That's like being a know-it-all. No one likes to hang out with the know-it-all. I would encourage you as leaders and as people to start becoming learn-it-alls. Learn how you can communicate better with other people. Learn how you can listen better to other people. Learn how to speak their language, whether it's a foreign language to you or it's just a love language. Just learn to listen. Listen to receive, not to rebuttal. That'll help a lot of people out. So when it comes to this multipliers and diminishers, let me help you understand what a diminisher is. So a diminisher is someone who feels the need to keep doing things, keep doing the thinking for everybody. They feel like they got to do the thinking for everybody. If something's wrong in this area of the organization right here, it's not going to get right until I get in there and I put my thumbprint on it, and now it's going to get right. That's a diminisher. I need to make all the important decisions. That's a diminisher. Like the type person who's like, yo, I got to make all the important decisions. And the person who feels like they need to jump on and take over whatever appears to be wrong, and that's the only way that it's gonna get fixed and it's gonna keep somebody else from failing. That's a diminisher. A diminisher makes a lot of assumptions, and all of their assumptions lead to their subordinates feeling like they're supposed to be in a position of subordinacy and dependency, and they're always waiting on that leader who's a diminisher to make the decision before they can move forward. Now, multipliers have a very rich view of intellect and a rich view of where they see people's lives going. They have a strong growth mindset, meaning that they are willing to allow people to have the space and grace to make it happen. It's not a rush, do this now, do this now, do this now. It's a, hey, you did it. Okay, so what did you think about that? Multipliers have great communication, meaning that they don't just take what everyone is saying about a situation and then fire off at the person who's in charge of it. They take what everyone else is saying and they go back and they communicate directly with that person. And it's not through text messages. It's not through emails. If it is an email or text message, it's usually, hey, can you give me a call? I wanted to talk over some things. Multipliers will sit down and they will have those conversations. Multipliers are also people who will, they bring the right people together into an environment. They have strong emotional intelligence skills, and they do everything that they can to help people get to that level. And here's a few things that differentiate multipliers and diminishers. When it comes to talent, a diminisher is somebody who will use the talent to their benefit. That's a diminisher. A multiplier is somebody who will develop the talent around them and see where they are, allow them to try little things here and there to help them perfect their skills. Sometimes people just got to put their hands on something before they realize like, hey, this isn't for me, and you help them get back into the right area. When it comes to mistakes, a diminisher is going to blame someone for the mistakes. They're not going to take the blame, but they're going to blame somebody for the mistakes. This happened because you did this. This happened because you said this. This happened because, but did they ever really talk to the individual? That's a good question. So that's a diminisher. Now, when it comes to mistakes, a multiplier is going to explore and learn. And that's what I was saying before, is they go back to the person who made the mistakes, who's over something, communicate with them directly, talk with them, and just work through whatever it is and come back to the table and say, hey, okay, let's try it again. Multipliers will definitely give you space and grace to grow. When it comes to giving direction, a diminisher is going to tell people what to do. Hey, you do this, you do this, you do this. They're just going to appoint people directly into positions that they feel are going to fit them best, and that's not always the best thing to do. What a multiplier is going to do is going to challenge people to take on the role and then see what can come out of it. And they're going to have the emotional intelligence to be able to focus in on these individuals and know like, hey, it's a little too tough for this person. Let me pull this back from them. Let's have this conversation. Let's see what else we can do. They're not going to give up on people. Diminishers give up on people very quickly. Multipliers, they do not give up on people. They allow people easy on-road, easy on-ramp, off-ramp types of decisions. When it comes to decisions, the multiplier or the diminisher is going to decide, this is what we're going to do. This is what you're going to do. The multiplier is going to consult with people. They're going to bring the team together. Hey, what do you think about this? Hey, what do you think about that? They're going to have an idea of where they want to go with it, but they're really going to find out from those people around them who should be smarter than them to help them point something in the right direction and give them ownership over some of the things that they got going on. When it comes to how to get things done, a diminisher is somebody who likes to have complete control, and a multiplier is somebody who just wants to support the team who's in the control space. Now, these are things that differentiate a diminisher from a multiplier. And I know that one of the questions that somebody had, they asked a question about, hey, can I talk more about diminishers and multipliers, and apologies when it comes to family. For this particular video, I won't be able to do on this video because we're getting close to time, and I didn't want this to run anything past 15 minutes, but this is some good stuff. Today, what we talked about was multipliers and diminishers and touched on a few things. So I want to challenge you. Ask yourself this question. Am I a multiplier or am I a diminisher? Now, to answer those questions, I want you to go back, watch this video, and ask yourself, do I fall under the categories of multipliers and the things that describe a multiplier, or do I fall under or into the categories of the things that a diminisher would do? If you fall into a diminisher, I want to challenge you to change the way that you operate. Start to make the moves now. Your teams will absolutely appreciate you for it. Hey, this is your boy Jarvis here. This is another episode of Go Do Something. I will talk to you when I talk to you. Have a blessed one.